Hey everyone, and welcome back, or if you're new here, my name is Josh, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the US Bank Altitude Reserve Visa Infinite card. So I'll be going over the main features of this card, its pros as well as its drawbacks. So hopefully by the end of this video, you should have a much better idea of whether or not this card is a good fit for you. But before we go ahead and dive into the main features of this card, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Also, if you would like to receive a few free stocks in a pinned comment below as well as in the description box, I will be leaving a few different links where you can receive just that. And from Webull, for a limited period of time, as long as you open an account and deposit at least 1 penny, you will be receiving 20 free stocks. Each stock will be worth at least $3. Okay, so diving right into the main features of this card. Starting out, we're going to be talking about how you can earn points with this card. So you will be earning 5 points per dollar spent on prepaid hotels and car rentals booked directly in the Altitude Reward Center. You'll also be earning 3 points per dollar spent on eligible travel purchases and mobile wallet spending on Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Samsung Pay. And then on all other transactions, you will be earning 1 point per dollar spent. Now, starting out for the first year, there's also going to be a spend bonus. So as long as you're able to spend at least $4,500 within the first 90 days of having this card, you will be granted a spend bonus of 50,000 points. Now, this is going to be worth $500 in cash back or a statement credit, or if you apply it towards travel, it'll be worth 50% more than that, so it'll be worth $750 in travel. Now, on top of that, this card has some other pretty great benefits as well. So starting out, you will be receiving up to $325 in annual credits for eligible travel purchases, dining, takeout, and restaurant delivery purchases. These can be all done at once, they can be spread out. There's no quarterly spending that you must have a credit up to. It's $325 each and every year. On top of that, you're also going to be receiving airport lounge access. So you're going to be receiving complimentary Priority Pass Select membership, and that's going to give you 8 free visits to over 1,300 airport VIP lounges. On top of that, you're also going to have access to the Visa Infinite Luxury Hotel Collection. And then you're also going to be receiving up to $100 in statement credits to reimburse you for TSA pre-check or global entries. So those are the main features of this card. At this point, we are going to go ahead and move on to the APR and fees, because this is also super important as well. So starting out, your purchase APR is going to be anywhere between 22.24 to 29.24%, of course, based on your credit worthiness. As far as balance transfers go, your APR on those is going to be anywhere between 22.24 to 29.24%, just like purchases. Now with this card, there's not a huge point in doing a balance transfer because they don't have a special promotion of 0%. Sure, you might be targeted eventually where maybe at that point you can take advantage of the balance transfer, but starting out, there is no special 0% offer for those balance transfers. Now, as far as cash advances go on this channel, I always recommend to stay far away from them. Just my personal preference. Of course, this should not be considered financial advice, but if you do so happen to take out a cash advance, just know there are going to be some fees associated with them on top of the 29.99% APR. Now, speaking of fees, like I mentioned, cash advances also have a fee as well. So the fees on your cash advance is going to be either $10 or 5% of the amount of each cash advance, whichever happens to be greater. As far as balance transfers go, like I said, there's not a huge point in doing them because starting out, there's not going to be a 0% offer. But if you do happen to get a selected 0% offer over time, then just know that even though it is going to be a 0% APR on them, you're still going to be paying either $5 or 3% of the amount of each balance transfer that you do, whichever happens to be greater. Now, some other fees as well, if you happen to pay late or have a return payment, just try to avoid those. But if it does happen, just know that you can have a fee of up to $41. Now, thankfully with this card, it is a travel card after all. So if you do happen to travel internationally, if you do happen to travel abroad, it's definitely a card that you can take with you because there are no foreign transaction fees. So that's definitely a plus. And then probably the biggest fee with this card that you'll have to really decide whether or not it's worth keeping on a year-to-year basis is that annual fee. The annual fee with this card does happen to be $400. That's going to be starting your first year. And once again, it's going to be every single year a fee of $400. So now that we went over the main features of this card, as well as its APR and fees, we're not going to go ahead and dive into what I would consider to be the biggest pros and cons of this card. So starting out, we're going to be talking about the good things. The first good thing, of course, is the fact that you can earn those 50,000 bonus points as long as you're able to spend at least $4,500 within the first 90 days from account opening. Depending on how much spend you have coming up, it might be worth it for you. It might be easy to hit that spend bonus depending on your personal financial lifestyle. And once again, those 50,000 points are either going to be worth $500 in cash back, or if you want to use it towards travel, which I would strongly recommend doing, it would be worth 50% more than that amount. So in that case, it would be worth $750 on travel. Now on top of that, you're also going to be receiving those annual travel credits of $325. So starting the first year, and every single year, you are going to have an annual travel credit of $325. That of course is also going to be spread throughout the entirety of the year. So you're not going to get like half of that January through June and then the other half like July through December. You're going to have the whole year to spend, and it doesn't have to be broken up in chunks. So that's obviously a plus as well. And then finally, you're also going to be receiving the Priority Pass Select membership. So you are going to be able to access those airport lounges. It's going to be 8 free visits per year. And you can also have guests along with you. So that's obviously a pretty good plus as well, and something that would normally cost you money. So if you really like entering those airport lounges, that's going to save you a pretty penny there by having that Priority Pass membership. So those are the main pros about this card. At this point, we are going to move on to the drawbacks. The first drawback, I think, is pretty obvious, is that annual fee of $400. And while in the first year, you're definitely still going to come out ahead as long as you're able to hit that spend bonus, the second year moving forward is going to get a little bit iffy. We are going to talk about that in just a moment. Now, other than the $400 annual fee, the only other drawback I would say is the fact that other than travel-related purchases and other than using Google Pay, Apple Pay, or Samsung Pay, you're only going to be earning 1 point per dollar spent. So if you go to the gas station and you use this card, you're only going to be earning 1 point per dollar spent. If you go to the grocery store and use this card, only 1 point per dollar spent. If you go out and spend money pretty much anywhere and you're not using Google Pay, Samsung Pay, or Apple Pay, guess what? You're only going to be earning 1 point per dollar spent. So that's really not too good. I would be shooting for at least 1.5 points per dollar spent, even 2 if you can. So 1 point per dollar spent really isn't that good. So that's pretty much my only other complaint other than that $400 annual fee. But just to sum things up here, for the first year loan, definitely a card that's worth having. Again, you're going to be getting $750 in travel just from that spend bonus alone. So $750 in the spend bonus from the travel minus $400 annual fee. You're coming out ahead there. Plus, keep in mind, you're also receiving the $325 annual travel credit. It's going to be hitting the first year. So you're definitely going to be coming out ahead in the first year with those things combined. But the second year moving forward, you're only going to be getting the $325 annual travel credit. Then you're going to be paying a $400 annual fee. So you're actually going to be coming out behind if you just factor in those two things by $75. Now keep in mind, you're also going to be getting the Priority Pass Select membership, so you're going to have access to those airport lounges. So if you're really going to use those up and get your money's worth from that, then perhaps you could come out ahead. But if you don't really travel that often and those airport lounges really aren't all that important to you, then perhaps having this card for the second year moving forward may not be all that worth it. But that's all we have for today's review. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.